Oh, there we go. Okay, we will be live soon.
5% to live. Can y'all see the bar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, looks like we are live. Good morning, SWACUHO Nation. Welcome to the last Friday in our 4 Fridays in February plus March. We are so excited to have you guys here with us today. I'm Katie Pelton. I'm going to be your MC for this morning and a little bit later this afternoon as well. We today have a keynote speaker with us named Matt Grief. Matt, can you wave to the camera? We also have Victor Salazar here on behalf of Awards and Recognition Committee. Before we get to our keynote, I'd like to do some thank yous to our SWACUHO registrants and our committee members. I'd first like to thank Ricky Harris and Beth Eppinger. They have been instrumental as far as playing a role behind the scenes to get our technology and our platform up and running for this conference. The two of them have worked tirelessly way before conference even started to make sure that our Excel platform is up and functioning, including making sure registration was taken care of and updates made to the website when we had to delay due to weather. I'd like to thank them for all of their hard work, and I am super excited that we'll get to see more of their work next year at SWACUHO 2022. I'd like to thank the program committee led by Akefa Cooper, all of our presenters for the innovative sessions you presented, and the moderators for assisting those program presenters. We do want you to know that program awards will be announced on social media after the conference. Thank you to Victor and Zach Tucker for ensuring that we continue to recognize the outstanding achievements of our region and members. And thank you to Amanda Bobo and the Exhibits and Display Committee for staying connected to our exhibitors. Fostering those relationships is critical to the success of our organization. And due to Amanda Bobo's great work, we were actually able to obtain enough sponsorship to cover the cost of our platform, which meant that we were able to pass on our conference at no cost to our SWACUHO members. To everyone that's attended this conference over the last 5 weeks, we want to thank you so much. We are so excited that you are taking one more time and one more day to spend with SWACUHO family, and we hope that you enjoy our program sessions for today. And now for our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker today is Matt Grief, Associate Vice President for the Student Affairs Group at the University of Texas, Dallas. Matt Grief currently oversees all university housing, including oversight duties for renovation and construction projects within the student affairs realm. His projects, as far as construction goes, include working with 7 past projects on the UTD campus. And Matt also serves as our current SWACUHO past president. A New Mexico native, Matt quickly found his way to Texas. He earned a BA in History and English from Angelo State University in 1993 and earned his Master's of Education in School Administration from Angelo State University in 1995. Matt began his housing career as a custodian in his sister's residence hall. It's a great story, so if you ever want to know more about that, make sure to ask him. Grief has supervised on-campus residence operations since 1993 when he was a hall director at Angelo State University. He served as Director of Residence Life from 1996 to 2002 at the University of Incarnate Word, and then he spent the next 4 years as a Managing Director of Century Campus Housing Management in Arlington before coming to UTD in 2006. Matt is passionate about baseball, good food, and his Christian faith. He loves spending time with his wife, Debbie, kids Gianna, Gavin, Garrison, and his 3 dogs. Matt believes that hard work, dedication, and persistence is the key to success. Today, he'll chat with us about how bats played an important part in his career choice. So now to hand it over to Matt Grief.
Thank you, Katie. Really appreciate those kind words this morning. Kind of had me reflecting a little bit even more on my past. Well, I always like to start with some did you know fun facts because it kind of loosens everybody up and it gets people thinking in the morning. So apologies if any of my staff are on the call this morning, but because they probably heard one of these yesterday. But did you know that there is a single tree that produces 40 different types of fruit? Professor Sam Van Aken from Syracuse University spent 9 years cultivating the tree of 40 fruit, which grows a variety of cherries, plums, peaches, nectarines, and apricots. I understand that by 2014, he had created a significant number of these trees. So it's kind of interesting to see what can be done if you put your mind to it. And then another little did you know fact that maybe can help you out as you go throughout your day today and maybe throughout next week. Did you know that scientists around the world have explored which activities can cause an epiphany? They found that gaining a flash of insight is often triggered by activities that require little thought, such as walking, showering, gardening, because they give you time to have your mind wander to another place. So I encourage you today as you head out there after these sessions to find time to wander and see if something comes to mind and kind of helps you out. For those of you who don't know, Katie mentioned it. I do love food. I'm experimenting with different things all the time. But the funniest thing that happened to me most recently in COVID is a relative of mine decided to start a breakfast sandwich club. We make breakfast sandwiches. We post the ingredients, we post what we do, and we post the pictures online. And it's just something fun to help us see what we can come up with. And by goodness, we've come up with quite a few different things. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I can share some of those photos with you. Well, it's time to get started with my talk because that's why you're here. I wanted to really start out the talk by saying, you know, there are several things in my past that have impacted me. But my title of my talk today is Bats, Floods, Fires, Snow, and COVID. What's my job again? I'm going to start with how a bat played a significant role in my housing career. My story begins with a bat that landed on my arm when I was 10 years old. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Carlsbad, New Mexico, where the Carlsbad Caverns National Park was just located just 24 miles from my house. Each year we'd go to the caverns, either part of the school trip with my family or just because it was an awesome day trip to go to the caverns. It's in the middle of the desert where average temperatures in the cave are very nice, usually 56 degrees year round. It's double that normally on the outside. You can do things like eat 750 feet underground, and it's an awesome set of caverns that I've enjoyed for a number of years. And just recently, a couple of years ago, I revisited the cavern that made up much of my youth and a part of many of my good memories. And I was able to continue to introduce that to my own family. At the caverns, they have a special program between late May and early October where the Mexican free-tail bats live in the cavern, leave the cave to hunt for insects overnight. During the heavy migration periods, over 1 million bats can live in the caverns. So you can imagine if you're watching hundreds of thousands of bats leaving at the cave all quite at the same time, it's quite spectacular. Until the one time where you have one land on you and scrape your hair as they're leaving. Yep, that's what happened to me. And even though they say bats will avoid people typically, I'm living proof that they go after small children. But I survived. I was able to fight off the bat. And you're probably saying to yourself right now, why is he talking about bats and what do they have to do with housing? Well, as mentioned, I started my career at Angelo State University, first as a janitor for my sister's residence hall, which led me to being eventually that hall director that she mentioned in 1993 while I was attending graduate school. I wasn't planning on going into housing at the time. I was going to be a history teacher. I was going to be a school principal because that's what my degrees were in. That's what I thought I was going to do. But instead, at that time, I was running an all-male residence hall, and my sister was actually running the all-female residence hall right next door. And boy, those were some good times. We enjoyed running those halls together. I remember the cookouts. I remember the fun times that we had and all the programming that we did. And I also remember the worst thing we ever really had to deal with was people sneaking in overnight or a little bit of alcohol here and there. But boy, times have changed. Anyway, one day I get a call that there's a bat in our lobby. So I leave my apartment, which was about 10 steps from the lobby, of course, and I see one of my staff members swinging a tennis racket at the poor scared bat, which I have to admit, I tried to do that as well. But then I remembered something. I remember what my 9th grade science teacher in Carlsbad had talked about one time when he would go out and tag birds for migratory studies. He used to do it at the same caverns the bats flew out of. And he would catch them in a net, tag them, and release them. So it got me thinking, I have another idea. I might be able to use something other than a tennis racket be swinging at a bat that is supposedly trying to avoid people anyway. So I went to my apartment, got a blanket, and after a few tosses in the air, and after a crowd had gathered to watch all of this, I was able to capture the bat in the blanket and take that outside and release it into the wild. So while the bat capture was not the moment I made my decision that housing was my career, it was just one incident that made me realize how I enjoyed helping and protecting students. I also realized that if I could solve a bat issue flying around a lobby, that I could probably survive anything else thrown at me. And then that same year, a tornado hit San Angelo, and that is another story for another time. But with almost 30 complete years in housing, I've dealt with multiple things in my career. I've dealt with floods. When I was working at San Antonio and Incarnate Word, we had a downpour of 11 inches in just a few hours. And those of you who are familiar with San Antonio and Incarnate Word there's a dam that sits just north of the campus. The water got so high, it was 5 feet from the top of the spillover. So what did we have to do? We had to evacuate a lot of our student housing into temporary spaces. It was a good thing it was summer because we didn't have a lot of space for folks. We overcame that challenge, and then I've had fires. And for those of you who have had fires, blessings to you, because they're not easy things to deal with. I've had some that are large and some that are small. We had one when I was there at Incarnate Word that took out a whole wing of a building, an old nuns convent, but we were able to overcome that. And then you think about the thing that we experienced just a few weeks ago with Snowmageddon, as I like to refer to it. We had snow and ice storms, and I can count on one hand the number of snow and ice storms we've had in Dallas that have impacted our facilities. One year we had power that was lost in for 3 days in a very large apartment area of our campus. And what we did to come together as a group to support those students and get them to warming areas and get them hot showers and feed them. They're all things that we do in housing to help support those students. And then there's COVID. Everybody's talking about it. These are just not small incidents that have contributed to who I am in my position today. They're rather large ones. And I've been blessed with many opportunities over the years. As Katie mentioned, I am in charge of construction and renovation. Never thought that I would ever be involved in those kinds of programs in housing. I have had small staffs, large staffs, and even worked in privatized housing for a while. Had I not worked in that privatized housing for 3.5 years and gotten some of that experience, I don't know if I would be as successful as I am today. But one of the things that I've been most blessed with over the years are the people who have worked for me. They've gone into their careers, not just in housing, but they have made a difference in people's lives in whatever they're doing. Residential life and housing folks are a special group of people. It takes a special skill to be able to deal with things in the middle of the night. It takes a special deal to be able to help that struggling student and suffering student. And I start thinking to myself, who knew that when a bat landed on my arm 40 years ago, that it would be something I would use in a speech about what is my job again? Our jobs are more than just housing students and training staff. Our jobs are to handle anything that's thrown at us in a way that protects those students and protects those staff as well. We always have to do the best we can. We're here to teach, we're here to instruct, and we're here to grow. And while none of us thought we would be medical professionals with all the temperature taking and all the testing and all the things that we have to do to support COVID, it is certainly something that has helped me see the bigger picture of what our roles are as human beings and housing professionals. So just like I let the dangerous flying bat go, we need to let those things go that endanger our profession. We have to keep the negativity at bay. Don't complain about getting up in the middle of the night to evacuate a building. Don't complain about the 3 a.m. lockouts. Don't complain about having to shovel snow or get rid of ice. And definitely don't complain about having to take temperatures or give COVID tests. These are all a part of who we are and what our job is now. And that is to protect and care for those students whose parents have entrusted us with their care. Our jobs will continue to evolve and change, just like we do. And while it might not take a bat to have you make a decision on what you're going to do with your life, every decision that you make now will help formulate your future. And hopefully you will see how you have such a large impact on students and staff around you. And so thank you for your time today. I appreciate the opportunity that I've had to be such an integral part of this organization. I told Maggie I owe her big time for last year of not being able to be here at the SWACUHO down in Sugar Land and be able to lead as president. And I certainly have enjoyed my time as past president as well. It's important to me to take what I've learned and give back to all of you. So thank you very much. And I turn the time back over to Katie.
Thank you, Matt. Let's everybody give him a round of applause in the chat. Let me see that chat fill up with applause. Thank you so much for taking time to spend with us. For those of you who are interested, we will have a keynote follow-up with Mr. Grief during our 11 a.m. program session. And now I'd like to introduce or reintroduce Miss Beth Eppinger. Beth? Beth, we're ready for you now.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm used to being backstage, hiding around, working with Ricky Harris and others to keep the conference going. But today I am here to give a highlight to one of our big sponsors this year, one of our exhibitors that has just been a SWACUHO friend for several years, and that is Southwest Contract. So we specifically want to thank Southwest Contract for sponsoring the Excel Events platform that we've been using for the past 5 weeks, technically, to host this virtual conference. Southwest Contract is a family-owned furniture supplier for residence halls, suites, apartments, and lobby areas. And we're thankful for their continued support. And if you're in the main lobby of the platform, in the middle of the lobby page, there's 5 different tabs. And one of those tabs is a sponsors tab. So if you click on that today, as you have time, you'll see Southwest Contract is toward the top there. And there's also some of our other sponsors listed. So please check out their products. They help support everything we do. So please show them support back. Thank you. And now we turn it back to Katie, I think.
Yes, thank you, Beth. I'd also like to personally thank all of our corporate partners, specifically Southwest Contract. Thank you so much. That group of individuals has been instrumental in the success of WACUHO Conference and region for many, many years. So thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce Victor Salazar, who is one of the chairs for our Awards and Recognition Committee. Victor?
Good morning. Give me one quick second to share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see that?
We can see it in the backstage.
Perfect.
Can
Okay,
somebody in the
perfect.
chat confirm you can see it in the main lobby?
Looks like we are good to go. All right, well, good morning, SWACUHO. Again, my name is Victor Salazar, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the Awards and Recognition Committee. Unfortunately, my co-chair, Zach Tucker of ASU-BB, was unable to join us this morning. However, on behalf of us and the entire Awards and Recognition Committee, we would like to thank you all for your immense support in the virtual recognition of our colleagues around the region. We're very fortunate that Snowvid 2021 did not put a damper in the shipment of our plaques, and luckily every plaque was delivered and able to be presented to their rightful recipients. At this time, I'd like to recap all of our award recipients that were announced throughout this year's virtual conference. Please feel free to shout out and cheer in the chat for your colleagues as I move along. First is the Bob Cook Distinguished Service Award. Again, this award was designed to recognize service, dedication, and significant contributions to student housing at a specific college or university. This year, our 5 recipients were Jimmy Kelly, Senior IT Technician at Texas Tech University; Patricia Nolan, Integration Analyst at Texas Women's University; James Aguanno, Facilities Coordinator at the University of Houston; Dr. Mylene Kirksey, Senior Director of Residence Life at the University of Texas at Austin; and Karen Walcott, Administrative Assistant at the University of Texas at Arlington. Congratulations again to our 2021 Bob Cook Award recipients. Next, we recognize an individual and a department for their extraordinary commitment to diversity and social justice within this last year. The Individual Diversity Award is presented to an individual's contribution to their institution or the SWACUHO area of cultural diversity, quality of programs, and our achievements of the individual that have facilitated growth and betterment of the individual's institution or regional environment. This year's Individual Diversity Award winner was Community Director Tiffany Bromfield of the University of North Texas. The Institutional Diversity Award was presented to a department for demonstrating an institutional program, effort, or initiative to enhance cultural diversity on institutional level and or the regional level. This year's Institutional Diversity Award recipient was Texas Women's University. Look at all of those smiles right there. Our next award was the Dan Miser Facilities Maintenance Professional of Distinction Award. This was presented to an individual that has created programs and initiatives that have had a positive impact on their housing, facilities, custodial grounds maintenance program. Additionally, this facilities professional has enhanced their skills through training, educational opportunities, and learning on the job. This year's Dan Miser Facilities Award recipient was Associate Director for Operations, MACKENZIE WYSONG-BENTLEY of the University of Houston. Our next award was the Bob Huss Outstanding Graduate Student Award, which was created to recognize graduate students who have made significant contributions to their departments at their home institutions. This year, our 4 recipients were Nia Gibson, Assistant Residential Community Coordinator at Oklahoma State University; Travis Bell, Greek Village Residence Coordinator at the University of Central Arkansas; Peyton Shatney, Graduate Hall Coordinator at Texas Tech University; and Megan Hill, Graduate Assistant for Outreach at the University of Houston. Congratulations to our Bob Huss Award recipients. Our next award was the Jean Ward Outstanding Student Leader Award, which was created to recognize outstanding undergraduate student leaders who have made significant contributions to their departments at their home institutions. This year, our 4 recipients were Stephen DOIDGE, Senior Student Staff Member at Oklahoma State University; Ali Patillo, Resident Assistant at the University of Arkansas; Dalton Lawing, Resident Assistant at the University of Texas at Arlington; and Samir Rahman, Kathy Crow Commons Council President at Southern Methodist University. Congratulations again to our Jean Ward Award recipients. Our next award was created to recognize mid-level, non-entry, or senior housing officer level professionals who have made significant contributions to their departments at their home institutions. Our two recipients this year were Sarah Shendezalos, Assistant Director for Resident Education at Texas A&M University at Galveston. Lee Donaldson, Conference Services Manager at Texas Tech University. Congratulations again to our two recipients. Our final award recipients this year were of the Nancy Murphy Chadwick New Professional Award, which was created to recognize the outstanding work and impact of a new housing professional. Our recipients this year were Anne Marie McCullough, Residence Director at the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith, and Lexi Curiel, Resident Director, University of Texas at Arlington. So again, congratulations again to all of our award recipients. Before we would wrap up, we would like to take this opportunity to recognize some conference hosts. Texas A&M University for hosting this year's RA conference. Again, lots of smiles there. Great efforts for that staff. Thank you again. And lastly, please just give a huge round of applause in the chat as we thank all of our executive board members, committee chairs, committee members for their joint efforts in pulling off our first and hopefully last virtual SWACUHO annual conference. And a special shout out to Beth and Ricky for all of their work behind the scenes managing our virtual platform. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Mike Mackenzie for some special remarks.
All right, hopefully you can hear me. Thanks, Victor. Appreciate it.
We can hear you just fine.
Great, thanks. I know Victor had contacted me, myself and Ms. Sharni Riddle the other day asking if we'd say a few comments about Maggie as she transitions out as the SWACUHO president. My name is Michael Krenz. I'm the Associate Director of Residence Life here at Texas A&M University and have the distinct pleasure of supervising Maggie Guzman. Sharni Riddle is our Executive Director of Residence Life. She's been trying to get into the session this morning, but has been having some technical difficulties joining. So I'll be speaking on my behalf and Sharni's behalf. We will say that as Maggie transitions out as president, we've been happy to have her be president, but we will also be happy to have her back working at her normal 150%. And we say 150% because Maggie is never satisfied with 100%. As you all know, she does a lot all year long. In particular, this year, she as her role as risk management, she became known as our COVID czar. We have a COVID czar for the campus, but Maggie became affectionately known as our COVID czar for Residence Life. She was really charged with quite a bit. She had to take on the role of providing a safe living environment for the 12,000 plus Aggies who call Texas A&M their home in our apartments and residence halls, and also had to keep in her mind the 450 plus employees who work for us and keeping their work environment safe. To do this, she had to partner with Student Health Services, School of Public Health, many other people across campus to ensure that things were safe for us with COVID. As always, Maggie just altered her daily events, and I suddenly am losing power. Sorry. Give me 1 second here, right in the middle of the presentation, right? Isn't that how it always happens? Plugging in the laptop. Sorry, folks. Maggie will get a chuckle out of that one. But during that time, Maggie altered her day-to-day role to serve as the primary contact for COVID. And she also would quite literally be helping with assigning all the students to isolation rooms and telling students how long they would have to stay in isolation or stay in quarantine into their rooms. We really couldn't have done this without Maggie. She's worked long hours, weekends, evenings, on not just COVID stuff, but also many other regular job duties, SWACUHO things. She was even seen about town and would call me sometimes about town when she was at HEB and said, "I look what I just found hand sanitizer. Do you want some?" And would even come by and bring it by the office and then drop it over to my house. And, you know, of course, as Maggie would say, hashtag it's always merit season. But that just shows Maggie's dedication and her selfless service to not only her employees, but also Texas A&M University and all the students who live on campus. Maggie also had to manage her family. Many of you don't know, is she's also working on completing her master's degree and has kept working on that along with being the president of SWACUHO. But she also didn't forget the other things like checking in with staff and see how they're doing. Just the other day, she had a staff member had mentioned to me that Maggie had checked in on her to see how she was doing because we had just had to put close to 100 students in isolation or close quarantine rooms. And so Maggie even stopped and asked how they're doing and what she could do for them, even though she was doing a lot of the background work on all those isolations as well. I can honestly say everyone in our department sees Maggie as a respected member of our department and a mentor to many. Her commitment to residence life is strong. She's also committed to Division of Student Affairs and Texas A&M University. She keeps all that in mind and has a broad network around campus. People all throughout campus know Maggie and know her as our go-to person for managing our risk at Texas A&M. Her experience as a professional is among the top 1%, I would say, of those that I've worked with in higher education, and we're lucky to have her here. She's early to the office, even though she's working hard, so she'll be up late working, but then still show up early to the office, which surprises me because I'm not an early to the office person, but and continues to keep everyone in good communication, including hallway conversations that are out there, and continues to take time for people. So we feel lucky to have Maggie. We know she's blessed SWACUHO this year with all of her work, and we'll be happy to have her back with us 150%, as I said earlier. And Maggie, congratulations on completing this year with SWACUHO, and it's another successful year. And thanks, Victor. I'll pass my time back to you.
Thank you so much, Mike, and I'm so sorry that Sharni wasn't able to join us, but I know she very much echoes your kind words as well. And Maggie, thank you again for all of your leadership. Even when I came on as a committee chair 2 years ago, in the middle of a term, you took me under your wing and really helped acclimate me to SWACUHO. And so from a special shout out to myself, thank you very much for your leadership. And I will go ahead and pass it back to Katie. Appreciate it.
Thank you to Victor for putting that great awards presentation and recap together. Mike and Sharni, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's always a good day when we can almost bring Ms. Guzman to tears. We're super excited that you guys were able to take time to give her those words of encouragement. I know she appreciates it. So moving from awards over to foundation, we have Ms. Jill Eckardt, who is going to chat with us just a little bit about the foundation. While Ms. Jill gets into the backstage area, just as a reminder, we've done the 4 Fridays of the foundation plus March during our conference. And so Ms. Jill's going to be able to give us a great recap of that and talk to us a little bit about an additional silent auction that's happening today. So Jill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maggie. I hope you can hear me. Can somebody confirm? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, Victor, as my tech assistant, could you move the slides forward as I ask you to, please?
You got it.
Right. Okay, next slide. Well, good morning, everybody. I am so excited that this is our last day. Stop with the slide. It is the fourth Friday in 5 weeks for SWACUHO and the foundation. This morning, we are giving to support. And so we are supporting ourselves. There are some really great things you'll see in the silent auction. Victor, let's see what's on the slide. I want to remind you of a couple of things that we've talked about over the last 5 weeks. So one, impact cards are still available through AGUANNO. And unfortunately, early in February, we had a Venmo issue. And so we have to go to the AGUANNO website to make any payments, whether for impact cards or whatever. But the impact cards or the silent auction is not the only way that you can give and participate in AGUANNO and the foundation. There are Parthenon Award nominees from the Southwest this year, which is somewhat unusual. And if you don't know who they are, please send me a quick email and I'll be happy to share those names with you. We are still accepting pledges. Each nominee has to raise so much money. All their champions raise the money because the Parthenon Award is secret until the AGUANNO conference in late June. We also have, through SWACUHO, the Bob Cook Endowment, and we have nearly $31,000 in our endowment. And this year, the executive board is going to have approximately $1,400 to spend on AGUANNO-related things. So whether it's Stars College, NHTI, the Mid-Level Institute, the Leadership Institute that they've established, there is scholarship dollars that the executive board, through our fundraising, have access to. There's also the 70th anniversary for AGUANNO, and that campaign was kicked off early in February. We also have innovator or historian pledges, as well as major donors. So you can be involved in the foundation for as little as $5, or if you want to join me and several others, major donors, you could give $5,000 over 5 years. That's not for everybody, and that's certainly not something I would encourage an entry-level person to be involved with, but there are simple and easy ways for you to support your chosen career, your chosen profession. Next slide, please, Victor. All right, so we've got our silent auction. It is a new website today. It is the charityauction.bid/SWACUHO2. And you are going to see some carryover items. You're going to see brand new things as well. Next slide. I thought this was really pretty when I started it. I didn't think it would take so long. Okay, so we have gift cards. We have a $200 gift card for Southwest Airlines. We all think we're going to be traveling soon as we're vaccinated and our family's vaccinated. There are a number of other gift cards that you can pick up for some self-care, which we all need after our February snowstorm. We call it Dentarctica in the Denton area, but Snowmageddon or whatever you are calling it, perhaps a Bath and Body Works gift card, or catching up on your favorite book with a Barnes & Noble or Amazon gift card. There are a number of things, but I really want to highlight our Master Chef item. The executive chef for Texas Women's University, Chef Colton Brumley, has volunteered. If you're in the DFW area, he would actually come to your home and make a meal for you. Or he will videotape you and send you all of the ingredients so that together you can make a 3-course meal. So those are just some of the fun and different items available today. The auction is already open, and it closes at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Next slide, Victor. So far, we have raised over $4,200 since we started this in early February. I think we might get over $5,000 today. So thank you so much, SWACUHO, for your generosity. This is more than double what we raised last year. Next slide. All right, you can use this QR code, go to akuhoi.org and go to the foundation site. Next slide. When you give at the AGUANNO site, be sure to check that you are from SWACUHO and that you're giving at the conference, but also that you're from the SWACUHO region. If you would like more information about any of the various campaigns that AGUANNO has, or what the foundation is doing to support AGUANNO, please feel free to send me an email. We can set up an appointment. We can have a phone call. We can have a Zoom meeting. We can do whatever, but I'm happy to talk to you a little more about the foundation. And I do want to give a shout out to J.C. Stoner, who just won an AGUANNO award for research and publication. AGUANNO did not necessarily support J.C.'s work, but they do support research through research grants in various topics. JC, congratulations. I know that you are a supporter of the foundation. We appreciate all that you do because I'm not a researcher and I'm so glad that you are. You all have a great week. For us, it's the start of spring break this evening. So when you get spring break, I hope you'll all be able to take some time out. Thanks so much for allowing me to have 4 Fridays in February and 1 in March to talk about the foundation. Thanks so much, Katie. Back to you.
Thank you, Jill. I'm super excited to see what we do with this fundraiser. And I know I went and I got my credit card so I could start bidding on things. As we close our opening session, I want to highlight some programs that we will have on deck today. So we've got programs about DIY proposals, marketing services. We've got our keynote follow-up, staff selection, which I think many of us are involved in this time of year, burnout during a pandemic, imposter to empowered, and 2 really great roundtables for new and entry-level professional staff. I'd like to remind everybody, as we have many times, that we've got a lot of great networking opportunities within our Excel platform. We've got not only our lobby area, but we also have our program sessions, and then we've got lounges. And what I've seen is each Friday, somebody's been setting up a lunch lounge over the 12 o'clock hour. So if you need somebody to eat lunch with today, go ahead and join us. Please make sure you also consider connecting not only in the Excel platform, but also in other ways to our SWACUHO members that are in attendance today. The other thing that we'd like to do is encourage everyone to join a committee. If you're part of the SWACUHO listserv, Mr. Ricky Harris sent out an email, I believe it was yesterday or maybe the day before, with information about all of our committees. Our committees are the backbone of our organization. Without committees, we would not have corporate partnerships, programs, recognition, diversity and social justice, research and assessment, our newsletter, our SHO roundtable, our mid-level placement. And if I forgot anybody, I am so sorry. But please join a committee. They do great work, and it's a really great opportunity to volunteer and get into the SWACUHO environment without a lot of time commitment. There's something here for everyone. If you have any questions about what committee may be best for you, please reach out to any of our current committee chairs or exec board members. We'll talk to you about your interest and see what may fit you best. At this time, we're going to go ahead and close our opening session. We'll give you a 15-minute break to get some water, do what you need to do, make sure you stretch, And then we'd like to see everybody back at 11 a.m. for our first session. Thank you and have a great morning, SWACUHO.